work to do. Let's get some more of this going here. Oh. There must be an easier way to do this.
No, it builds muscles. It's good for you.
You know, one thing about it is the fact that since we have a fairly good-sized job, we rented one of these mixers here. There's several ways you can go. You can rent a small one that you operate by hand. You're doing a good job. Or you can call for a big truck that comes out and mixes your concrete along the way. You have to really want a lot of it and have a lot of friends lined up who are going to do that. When we get the dry stuff in there, we'll add water and crank this baby up and get it going. Okay, I'm going to crank it up, Gene. Step back out of the way.
Yes, I think I will.
Okay, Gene, cut it. This time, it's for good. It's perfectamundo. It's really mixed up right. While you get this stuff out of here and into the wheelbarrow, come on with me. I want you to see the pier holes we've got. With these 3 pier holes down to bedrock, we're going to have a wall that really is going to last. I don't care what happens to the house. The wing walls are going to be okay. Now, a lot of people don't go to that much trouble. What we've done here is dig down to bedrock, and we're going to tie in Mother Nature down there to our footing up here with this reinforcing steel called rebar. And when we get through pouring the concrete into these pier holes, we'll go ahead and build our forms and we'll pour for our footing. Gene, if you'll bring that concrete on over, we can get started.
My word, this is heavy. I hope those little metal rods you're holding aren't too heavy for you. Why do you always get the wimpy part?
Hey, Gene, this is character building. Wait a minute. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
I've hit a bump
You're trying to run over a rock down here or something.
I could probably
Okay, come on, let's get this concrete into the hole here.
That's close enough.
Well, now it's time to put the steel in there. We've got enough concrete to support it, and we can use these bars to sort of tamp down and get all of the air pockets out of there. And now we're going to need to drive it on down in there and make sure it's down to the bottom of the hole. Let's get all 3 of these in there first. Okay. Now what we're going to do when we get ready to pour our forms, we'll have other steel that will come right in here and be right next to this, and it'll all be tied together. Well, Gene, come on, let's get going. Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, you're doing a grand job there. I'm going to have to go get another wheelbarrow, or somebody will. While the concrete in the piers was setting up, we got out here and built our forms. We figured that as beautiful as this piece of work is, you probably didn't even want to watch us do it. Anyway, the forms are nice and sturdy, and that's a very important part of any concrete job. The reason being, there is nothing more demoralizing than to walk away from your first concrete job, and as you walk away, you hear this creaking and groaning, and all of a sudden your forms break, and then you got concrete oozing all over the place. You have about 30 minutes to figure out what to do with it, because after that time you know what to do with it. You take your sledgehammer and you break it up into little bitty pieces. Anyway, we've got the forms built, and here's what our next step is. We have drilled holes in the side of the foundation here, the reason being that we want to tie in this footing out here with the foundation of the house so that it's all going to be an integral piece. We're going to take some of these bricks out so that we mesh the bricks together. And now, to tie it in, we have cut pieces of the rebar and fit it into the holes here. We poured a little bit of concrete here. We'll pour some down in the middle and down on that end down there. And what we'll do then is lay our steel in here so that we can tie the steel that runs the full length of this into the steel that comes up out of the piers. That way, we're going to have a lot of stability in here. It's going to all be tied together. Now, maybe you've seen concrete work where they come in and they actually tie the steel together or even weld it together sometimes. That's not necessary. All in the world that does is keep it into position. If we lay it in here as we go along, why, we're going to have it in position. The next step then will be to put the steel in here, then we'll cover that over, and who knows what's next. Gene's down there doing some work at the other end.
Since we're going to have a light at this end of the wing wall, for a change we thought ahead. We've run the wires for it down this conduit so that when we get the wall all built, we won't have to stop and think, hey, how do I get electricity to that fixture?
What is this for a change? We thought ahead stuff. I'm always thinking ahead.
Let's face it. Go ahead and put some cement in there.
All right.
That's not quite enough.
Well, it's almost enough for us to go to the next step, which is to put enough of this so that we can put our steel in. Okay, Gene, if you'll get on down there,
I can do that.
We'll maybe get this steel in place. Now, stay right there.
Yep, I'll get it under this brace here. Okay, slide that all the way down.
Okay. Okay, now we need to put one on the other side, and we want to be sure that we have them up against the rebar that are sticking up out of the ground from the pier holes. We'll do the same thing after we get most of the concrete poured right up toward the top, and that's going to really give us a lot of stability. Now, when we get rid of this, we're going to have to move the concrete mixer over here so we can mix and pour directly into the farm and save ourselves a whole lot of trouble until we get right up to the top where we have to be a little bit more careful.
Hey, Georgia Pacific.
Hands, what happens is many bricks are very porous. And if they are porous, they're going to drink the water out of your mortar, and it doesn't give you as good a shot at having a strong bond. There is a test you can give the brick. You take a circle about the size of a quarter, and you put a half of a teaspoon of water on the brick at that point. Now, if it takes it about 90 seconds for all that water to disappear, then you have one that's a little too porous, and you ought to wet the bricks ahead of time. As you can see, ours is disappearing pretty fast, so we're going to have to wet down the bricks.
I think you're a bit confused there, Al. We're supposed to be putting up a wall here, not taking one down.
Right. Well, what we're going to do is tie in the wing wall to the house here. We tied in the footing down there with the rebar, and by taking these bricks out, we'll be able to tear
You can just slide one in it.
Yeah,
Oh,
tie
I
it
like
right in
that.
there.
That's a good idea.
And I think it's going to look a lot better.
Sure.
As a matter of fact, I know it's going to look better.
Okay.
So what we can do now, I'm just about through. We'll be up to the height of the wing wall here when I do a couple of more cuts. And then what we can do is start laying out these bricks here and find out whether or not we're going to end up with, like half a brick that we need, or whether we can adjust.
It's a good idea to lay the whole course of bricks out, your first course down there, so you can use as many full bricks as possible and not have to cut any of them. A lot of times you can adjust the mortar so that you don't have to do any cutting. In order to lay out my bricks here, you got to move your dumb old stick here.
Hey, that's not just a dumb stick. That's one of the tools of the trade.
That is a tool?
This is called a story pole, and what I've done is I've gone along and I've marked each course of bricks, compensating for the width or the thickness of the brick plus the mortar joint.
It's going to tell us the story of a brick wall.
Right, and
How
if we follow
exciting.
this all the way through, we'll have an exciting wall because it's going to be level. It'll be the same up here as it is down there.
That would help too, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
Okay. Brickwork really is easy. It's simple. The only difference between your doing it and the professionals is they can do it a lot faster, but you've got all the time in the world anyway. Okay, what kind of tools do you need for this?
Well, this is the only one that you can really make, so the rest of them you'll have to buy, but you don't need a lot of tools.
Okay, I know you need a level to be sure that the wall is level, it's not falling over.
Yeah, you need to check it for level and plumb as you go along. In addition to sighting and using the story pole, why, there also are other levels. This is a string level, or line level, and it attaches to a string, goes all the way along here, and we'll be using that as we move up.
To put the mortar in, you'll need a trowel of different size.
And at a certain point, why, when we get all of the mortar in place, we'll use a tool like this to rake the joints to make them match the rest of the house over here. Also, most of the time, people use a chisel to break the bricks with, and as a matter of fact, the bricklayer can take a, what is this, a trowel.
That's a trowel.
And he can just whack that brick and he can actually break it. I never have been able to do that with any accuracy.
Crumbles all over, huh?
This is a little bit of work to do it this way. So what I'm going to do when we get ready to cut bricks is use my saw with a masonry blade, and it cuts real fast. It does the job very neatly also.
You're taking the easy way out.
You bet.
As usual.
Well, okay, let's go ahead
lay
and
out the bricks now.
get the rest of this laid out.
Okay.
When you go to the store, be sure that you get mortar mix. That's what you need for brickwork. Now, mixing it is really an easy thing because all you have to do is add enough water to make it into a sort of a plastic-like consistency. Just be careful and be sure you don't add too much water.
So like playing mud pies here?
Yep, you know, we talked about the fact that there is a little difference. A bricklayer can get about 1,000 of these brick down a day. We're going to be a lot slower than that. But when we get through, we're going to have a great-looking wall over here. You know, there's one other tool that we could have made, and I forgot about that, Gene, and that's a mortar board.
I graduated in one of those.
Oh, come on. That's where you would be able to carry your mortar. But since we're working this close to the wheelbarrow, I don't think we need one. And so consequently, we're not going to have one.
It's good to wiggle them a little bit to keep them in place. Be sure they're set in the mortar real good.
And each one that you put in place, you want to butter the edge of it. Hey, it's
Very
level
good.
all the way around.
Okay, I like it that way.
As we mentioned, you'll sometimes need to cut a brick. Put these parts of bricks in the center of the course. Now, in laying the brick, put your bed of mortar down in a thickness that'll keep those bricks level all the way along. And check it regularly as you go.
Okay, the next thing we need to do is to put a course along the back here. And what we're going to aim for is one that'll be exactly the same height as this. And the width of it, when we get the two courses together, has got to be the width of a brick, because when we get up to the top, we're going to put a cap course along there. Once we get this done, then we'll start weaving in back here, and we'll put a course in here. You can see that this brick extends out to the middle of the next one, and so all the rest of them will be the same way. Right here, as you can probably see, we had a little problem. We've got to do a little repair work here. In the course of getting all these things out, I broke this brick off, so I'm going to just take that out completely, and we'll put a new brick that comes across here like that. And that'll tie the whole thing in. It really goes together pretty nicely, and I think when we get through, we're going to have one heck of a wing wall.
Okay, there's you some more mortar.
Okay, this has really gone along, gone along pretty fast.
It has, hadn't been bad at all. We're not that speedy, but we're good.
We did learn a little trick, though. A bricklayer friend came by and reminded me of a very old trick that bricklayers use, and that is to put a little liquid detergent in with your mix. It makes it a lot stickier, and it seems to last longer. Maybe it's just that we're getting better at it. I don't know. We're not getting any faster, I'll tell you for sure.
No, but we're pretty darn good, if I do say so.
We are going to get this thing whipped. Once we get this pillar done, we also have to build up the back side, and then we're going to put the cap on up here, and that'll be all finished then. Yep. And then we can go around and start to work on that wall that needs to be repaired, right?
Right. Hadn't been bad at all.
Hey, let's do it. You know, working on a brick wall like this is just about the same as the wall that we're putting up out there, the wing walls. There is one difference, however, and that is that when you're putting up a brick veneer wall just to cover the side of your house, you want to be sure that that wall is held up there so that it stays in place.
It's not going to come falling over.
Right. Well, and even if it doesn't fall over, if it leans, it's not going to look very good.
Metal brick ties are nailed to the wall about every 32 inches across, or in other words, into every other stud. Now go up about 18 inches for the next row of brick ties and then stagger them. The brick ties aren't actually nailed to the brick, the mortar fastens them there. Even things that stick out in the way are easy to brick around. Incidentally, the handle of your trowel is a great tool for tapping down the edges of bricks that happen to stick up.
They rake the joint and make it look better.
There we go. As you can see, putting the wall back in place is going to be an easy thing to do. And incidentally, a lot of your remodeling is going to require that you take some of the bricks out. Don't be afraid to, because you know you can put them back. There are great possibilities that we're going to get this back if we hurry, like I've done. Gene, what's next?
Okay, your gutters need to slope. They're not supposed to be level so that the rain will run down and run off of them. And the rule of thumb is like an inch drop in every 20 feet of guttering. But you have to start with a level line first.
Okay, now we got to make sure this is level. And that's easy to check, and it should be pretty close. And it is. Now what we need, as Gene says, is a slope of about 1 inch for every 20 feet. We have approximately 28 feet of run right here, so that means that we're going to come down about 1 3/4 inches. And I'm just going to measure that, and then I'll lower my nail up here, and then we'll have the proper slope. Well, with our new guide string in place, we're now ready to start putting up our hangers. What we're going to use is an Alumex snap-in fascia bracket. And they're real easy. We'll have to go ahead and put them in all along the run, and then a little bit later we'll show you exactly how they snap in place. It's really easy to install these brackets. You just line up the top of the bracket with the new guide string that you have, move it in about 4 inches from the edge, and then just nail it in place. These people even supply the little nails that go with it. Now, we're going to put these about every 3 feet. If you live in an area where you have heavy snow, you want to have them about every 2 feet.
If you're going to have guttering, you're going to have downspouts. You put downspouts at the end of a run of guttering or close to a corner. If you're going to have a real long run of guttering, then put one right in the middle. And it's a good idea to put them like every 40 feet if you have a real long run. Now, guttering comes in 10-foot sections, and we decided where we wanted our downspout to be on this side of our house, so we cut the section of guttering off. You can either use a hacksaw or tin snips, anything. It cuts real easy. This is a downspout section that you add to it, and to get the two connected, you use a connector like this. They just slide into place. So, the first thing you're going to have to do is put some sealant so that you won't have any water leaks. Okay, you just squeeze the caulk down in this crack all the way around here. Okay, that ought to be enough to make it nice and watertight. Then all you have to do is slide these two together. That's on good and snug. Okay, now I need to put caulk in the other side so we can join the downspout piece. Put some in this crack over on this side. Be sure I get plenty of it in there. Okay, now I'm ready for the downspout piece. Then you just slip the two together, just like the other side. Okay, we've got the downspout connection in there. Now all we have to do is crimp this top dealie over here. Get my pliers out. Crimp that over. Now the only thing left to do to this particular section is put a cap at the other end so the water doesn't go running out the wrong end. And this fastens right down here on the end. Just slips in the crack, just like the other connector did. Okay, that's in place. We have this section already, and Al's already got the hangers up. So let's see what it looks like on the house.
Well, Gene, you did a nice job putting that together. Let's see if you can snap it in place up there.
I can. The end extends out about 2 inches beyond the eave over here. So I can get this snapped in place.
We need to put the little clamps in there, and they're real easy to put in place, and you've got it made, don't you? Now Gene just has to bend over the tab, and that's in place. Wasn't that simple? Now we just do more of the same, and we attach the next section on here, which means that I need to put some more caulking in here.
Well, while you're doing that, I'm going to run down so I can get the other end of the gutter.
Good idea, Gene. Gutter collects is going to be carried away from the foundation of your house.
This first elbow from the gutter to the downspout is the only one screwed together. The others are just crimped to fit inside each other. Once the downspout is flat against the wall, you secure it there by straps that are nailed across the downspout and into the mortar. While we've just showed you straight sections of guttering, there are inside and outside corners if you need them. If you live in a heavily wooded area where there are lots of leaves falling into your gutters, get one of these grills that fits over the opening to your downspout, and it'll keep your downspout from getting clogged up with leaves. Screening is a great way to keep your gutters free from debris. Cut sections that are just long enough to comfortably handle. Simply slip one edge under your shingles or nail it to the fascia board and tuck the other edge under the lip of the gutter. At the end of your downspout, you can direct the water to the right, the left, or any other direction you may want. Or you may just want a splash block to disperse the water.
You know, after you get the gutters up, it doesn't make any difference how great they look. If they don't carry the water off, you're in a heap of trouble. Gene, turn on the water. We'll see just what's going to happen here. Looks to me like it's running on down. It ought to be there shortly.
For more information on topics covered in this show, send a self-addressed stamped envelope to Georgia Pacific Corporation, P.O. Box 2808, Norcross, Georgia, 30071.